Hola, soy Anjalina Chugani y bienvenidos a mi cocina Soul Spices Kitchen. Hoy voy a hacer una cosa un poco diferente, a ver si os gusta o no. Pero mucha gente me ha pedido hacer una receta en inglés, porque es mi idioma, y bueno, voy a hacerlo y a ver qué os parece. So today, the recipe that we have is some mini lamb hamburgers with pumpkin hummus. And for this time of year, it's October, pumpkins, carrots, these are the kind of vegetables that we're going to be using this month, so we're going to make the most of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the lamb burgers, which are really easy. All you have to do is mix everything up. So I've got here, I'm going to show you what I've got here. I've got some minced lamb, and I usually buy the leg or the shoulder because the meat is a little more soft. It's just a little more easier to use for hamburgers. We've got some mint, we've got some coriander. We're going to put some feta in there as well, some cumin, and here we have a spice that's called sumac. Now, sumac is not a very common spice. It's a Mediterranean, Oriental sort of thing. You get it in the Middle East. It comes from a berry and it's got a very lemony taste. And so that is what will give us the extra flavor in this dish. Then we're also gonna add in a little bit of lemon juice. Then let me show you what we have for the hummus, which is basically you can't have a hummus without chickpeas. We've got chickpeas. These are already cooked and you get really good quality ones if you buy the bottled ones. They're really good. And we've got some roasted pumpkin here. Now, this is really simple to prepare. All you need to do is cut the pumpkin up in little cubes and put it in the oven with a bit of cumin, a bit of garlic, and basically some olive oil, and you can just shove it in the oven for about half an hour and it's done. What we need for the hummus, which is tahini, which is basically sesame paste. Instead of tahini, if you don't want to use sesame paste, you can actually use Greek yogurt, which sometimes makes it a bit lighter, and of course some lemon juice, and that's it. So let's start with the burgers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the meat in first, and we're going to mix in the feta cheese over here. And it makes it really creamy and really light as well. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add in the sumac. What we can do is now we've got some mint over here and I've got some coriander. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop this up together. And we're going to throw that in. Now, you could add breadcrumbs to this, but normally I decide on the day, and I think that if it sticks together well enough, you don't really need to add the breadcrumbs. I like to keep it gluten-free if I can, because I have a lot of friends out there who are not able to have gluten. Okay, and then let's put in a little bit of cumin as well. So that goes with our story with the hummus. And a little bit of salt. You don't need to add too much because, as you know, feta is quite salty as it is, so I try not to add too much, but we need it with the meat. It just helps it along a little bit. And now make sure your hands are clean because you've got to get in there with your hands and mix it all up together. So here we go. So just break up the cheese as you go along and mix it in nicely and bring it all together. And it should come together quite well. You can make them into bigger sizes if you like, but I like to keep them mini because they're just easier and just, you know, a lot nicer, and then you can have more of them as well. And see, I don't think you need breadcrumbs in this case because it seems to be sticking together quite well. So now we can start forming our little patties. What I always like to do is I like to make one small one first, just to check for levels of salt and spices and see if you need to add anything in. So I'm just gonna test one. Okay, so I've just made one to try it, so let's see how it is. It's good. I would put a little bit more lemon juice, actually. I don't even know if I put any before, so I'm just gonna add it now and mix it up. And now we're ready to make our burgers. So what I've done is I've already put some oil in the pan just to coat the bottom. What you can do is sometimes what I do is I make them ahead of time and then I let them be in the fridge for a while until I need them. Or if you're ready to make them right away, you can. So we can make them a little bit smaller, I would say. And you want them to be more or less the size of your palm. So like about that much, I would say. It's gotta be quite hot, the pan. And you've got to hear that sizzle. And I would say that it would be about 5 minutes on each side to get them really well done, because lamb, you do kind of need to have them pretty well done. So I'll continue these and we'll be right back. Okay, so these are ready and we're just going to put them out on some kitchen paper. just to soak up the extra oil, right? Here we go, look at them, they're nice and caramelized, and with the feta, so soft inside, they're perfect. It's important to let them rest, because with meat, and any meat that you cook, it's important that it needs some time for the juices to all get together and release inside the burger. So we're gonna set them aside, and we're gonna make a delicious hummus with pumpkin to go with it. So now we have our ingredients for the hummus. So let's start by adding in the chickpeas. If you don't have a blender like this, you can do it with a hand blender, you could do it with the smaller one, whatever you have at home is fine. Another thing that I sometimes do if I have time is I take the chickpeas and I remove the skins. So when you remove the skin, your hummus becomes a little more smooth, but it's a little time consuming, so I don't always do it. I try to, but you know, it's fine if you don't. So let's whiz this up first a little bit before we add everything else. Now we've got our roasted pumpkin, so we're gonna put that in there with all the oils and everything that was in the roasting pan, because it's really delicious and you can't leave that stuff behind. And when I roasted the pumpkin, I put a couple of pieces of garlic in. So I've got one, so it's roasted garlic, which is much nicer than raw garlic, because raw garlic sometimes can be a little overpowering. So let's add that in, give it a bit of a mix. And now is when we can add the tahini. So let's put in about 3 teaspoons. We've got some cumin, about a teaspoon, and some salt. Of course, you know, remember that whenever you do anything, it's really important to try stuff as you go along. Some lemon juice, and we'll whiz this up first, and then we're gonna add the olive oil at the end. Okay, I'm gonna add in a little bit of olive oil in here. Okay, well that's done now, that's ready. We've got a nice creamy pumpkin hummus here, so we're gonna plate up. We've got some ready-made chapatis. Well, they're not ready, we made them, but you can use any kind of flatbread that you want. You can also have them without the flatbread. You can also have mini hamburger buns, whichever way that you wanna have them, you can have them on their own. So let's plate that up nicely. And I like to finish it with some pomegranate seeds if you can, and a little bit of cumin on top, like that. That makes it nice, and it's a good balance between the sweet and the salty. A little bit of olive oil, just a little bit to finish. We can also put a little bit of sumac. Since we're following the story, the sumac is in the lamb burgers. And what I like to do is, actually, I like to have them on my flatbread. Put a little bit here. We can take some pomegranate here, couple of coriander leaves, a little bit of freshness, and here we have our lovely lamb burgers, which are nice and rested now. A little more pomegranate and just a touch more sumac. So here we've got our beautiful lamb burgers with mint and feta and coriander and a touch of sumac, and our pumpkin hummus. And here you go, perfect for a Friday night. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you like this version of Soul Spice's Kitchen in English, and I'll definitely do more in English then. So please like, please subscribe, and leave some comments as well, and come back next time. Bye.